All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Maddox. I'm an associate partner at McKinsey, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker, Claudia San Pedro, the president of Sonic and the head of limited service at Inspire Brands. Now, you can see a few and truly just a few accolades on this page, but what got me excited about having Claudia here with us today is her impressive history of leadership at Sonic. So Claudia joined Sonic in 2006 as treasurer after spending 10 years in the public sector. She held multiple roles, including CFO, prior to becoming the first female brand president at Sonic. And since taking her role at the helm, she's led the brand through a remarkable period of growth and transformation, including the sale and integration with Inspire Brands, several technology overhauls, and the launch of a new brand identity. It's under her leadership that Sonic has become one of the fastest growing restaurant brands in the US today. And that's even more impressive when you consider the challenging industry dynamics over the last 2 years. And what I imagine is only a big hill to climb to make that amount of change happen at a nearly 70-year-old brand. I haven't had the chance to work closely with Claudia, but I did ask someone on her leadership team, what makes Claudia really remarkable? And I'll share just one thought briefly with you all. So she said, one of the things I love the most about Claudia is she openly shares her experiences as a first-generation immigrant from Mexico. The way she eloquently speaks about her experiences, the challenges and opportunities in her life has inspired not just women, but generations across the Sonic system. I've seen the hope and inspiration in their eyes and in the eyes of our crew members as she tells them that they can be whatever they want to be. So it's for all of these reasons, I'm thrilled to have you here with us, Claudia. Please join me in welcoming Claudia.
Thank you so much, Catherine. That's an amazing introduction. I could not have asked for anything. I'm just speechless. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled for a variety of reasons. I'm thrilled because it's the restaurant industry. I am incredibly thrilled, moreover, because this is a multicultural international crowd, and that makes me so happy, because as we think about all being allies and supporting each other in this industry, it takes all of us. So thank you for having me.
Great. And Claudia, there are so many questions I could ask you. I think maybe we'll start with one just about your journey. So as you think about what's driven momentum for you personally and what some of the big inflection points have been in your journey, I'd love for you to share a little bit with the group today.
Absolutely. So you mentioned one of them, which was first generation immigrant. We came to the States when I was 2 years old. My parents were in their late 20s, didn't know the language, and started over. And while I didn't appreciate it as a child, I think as an adult, quickly understanding the sacrifices they had made for us to get a better opportunity in this country, and giving a sense of obligation and duty and respect for what they had done for us, and making sure that we were paying it forward. So one of the things that drives me is this incredible sense of pride and responsibility as I think about this great country and the opportunities it has, and making sure that we provide those opportunities going forward. The second thing that drives me, quite candidly, is I was put in a situation in my early 20s where I was completely broke and had to provide for family. And never having been in that situation, it was a horrible situation to be in. And I can say, I was raised in an economic level where I didn't have to worry about our family paying the bills. Everything was taken care of. To be thrust into a situation where I didn't know how the bills were going to be paid, I had never experienced that kind of stress. And so one of the things that drives me now is what I learned from that time period is I never wanted to be financially dependent on anyone, and the importance of, particularly for women, economic power. Andrew mentioned this, the single largest population in poverty in the United States are women with children, single women with children. And so the key to the future is economic security and power and success. And that's one of the reasons I love the restaurant industry is, while we need to do so much more, I see that example over and over. So those are a few of the things that drive me.
That's great. Thanks for sharing. And one of the things I think is so unique about you, Claudia. You've had the opportunity to watch this movie from the public sector, from your time in corporate America, and also I imagine through the eyes of your crew members and all of the Sonic franchisees. So as you think about, all of the challenges, where would you place the bets to get started on kind of moving the needle across this equation?
Well, here's what I would share. And I was going to share this because as I was thinking about the theme of this conference and transformation and how do we begin that transformation within ourselves, what really resonated with me was there was a 2000 movie by the name of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon by Ang Lee. And the movie is an amazing movie, but really the phrase stuck with me, and it's really been more powerful for me over the past 5 years. And I want to share this with the audience because I think this is where we can begin to move the needle. So the name Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is a literal translation of the Chinese idiom, which describes a place that is full of talented or extraordinary people who remain hidden, undiscovered. Simply means talented or extraordinary people hidden from view. The idiom is used to remind people, don't underestimate people. And when I think about where we are as a gender, it is that we are hidden, we are underestimated, we are undervalued. So as we begin to make the shift, I think a big piece of what Rohini's done today is what can we do to start to ask the questions and make sure that we're being heard. And from that perspective, I would tell you my shift and my journey has been from at times feeling like I'm a sitting duck where I can be this defenseless target. And for me, the visualization of, I don't want to be the sitting duck. I want to be the crouching tiger. I want to be that pouncing animal that's ready to take advantage of any opportunity, to ask questions, to probe, so whether it's asking why not me, why not them, where can we take that opportunity? So I think as we look to shift the needle, a lot of it continues to be, how do we find ways to take risks, get uncomfortable, but in a way that's authentic to ourselves? Because as we all have different styles and voices, some of us are strident, some of us feel comfortable being quiet. It's equally powerful, whether you're quiet or loud or strident or work within the system to get change, but making sure that you have that stance of the crouching tiger, identifying your hidden talents and making sure that you're in that crouching position, not a sitting duck. And I don't know if that resonates with anybody, but that certainly has been something I've been thinking about, particularly over the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I like the reframe. I think that's what I'm going to steal from you. And on that note of kind of reframe, so you now have the mindset of being the crouching tiger. How did you learn how to ask for what you needed throughout your journey? And I think we hear this, quite frequently from women, that it's hard to know how and when to ask and how to be heard, whether it's for funding or new opportunities or credit. Just curious some of your reflections and maybe any advice you have for women in the audience.
I think first I would tell you it was out of desperation, needing to find a job and provide for the family. I wish I could tell you it was out of courage and voice, but at the time, I think initially out of desperation. I also think I have a natural inclination towards intellectual curiosity. So if anyone works with me, they know that I ask a lot of questions. So that part comes a little bit naturally to me too. I think the bigger piece when it comes to opportunities, particularly when it comes to access to capital, career opportunities, it is getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. So if your style isn't to make waves, how do you push yourself to ask questions from the standpoint of, I'm seeking to understand, I'm seeking to find not just a pathway forward for me, but for the future of whether it's your daughters, whether it's your fellow workforce and your female friends. And for me, what's been really powerful is not framing it in, what am I doing for me, but what are the implications for women behind me, whether that it's my daughter, whether it's women I work with, because if I have to summon the courage to be able to do this for future generations, if I can't summon the courage at times to do it for myself. So I think depending on your style, figuring out what you can call upon to summon that courage.
Great. And I mentioned in my intro, you've led Sonic through a period of significant change, and it's been really exciting to see, all of the growth across the brand. I imagine this has been quite challenging, sustaining this change across a franchise brand that's almost 70 years old. And any reflections or learnings on, what you did to make change stick?
I don't know if I always say it's not just me, and I have to give incredible accolades to our team. We have an incredible team. And from the get-go, I think I have had the opportunity. There's a phrase that's often used that you're not a leader if no one's following you. And so I have to say that it really has been, as we've gone through this tremendous sea of change over the past 5 years, through an acquisition, through a pandemic, through new technologies, it is making sure that I'm being respectful and honorable of all the hidden talents that are among our teams, and being empathetic when I need to be, being a little, I think, pushing, challenging people to go beyond their comfort zone. But I think the single most important thing is challenging myself to make sure I'm listening at the right time and understanding the perspective, because it's only through putting myself in every person's different shoes, whether that's a franchisee's, whether that's a drive-in team members, whether that's a team member at our support center, that I can really fully begin to understand what their pain points are, what their opportunities are, and then together we can start to fashion out strategies to grow from there.
Great. And I have two more questions. I did see one coming through in the chat, so I promise I will get to that. So as you think about some of the actions corporations could take to catapult more women into leadership positions, and I know you've spent a lot of time on this topic through some of your work at Best. I'm just curious, your thoughts on what are some of the actions that you think is important for corporations to take?
I think a few things. Andrew and Danny mentioned them. It has to come from the tone at the top. And I've been extremely fortunate to have allies and leaders who, and let me be clear, because I think this is important, and I think this gets lost in a lot of the noise on DEI. It is about DEI, but more importantly, it's about building high-performing teams and getting the best talent at your table. And when you exclude half the population, or even more than half the population, because of reasons of race, ethnicity, or gender, you are not getting the best talent. And I think if we can reframing that for corporations as it's an imperative for the future of your company, and setting that tone and recognizing that, that's where it begins. Not from, at times it is a moral and ethical drive and cause, but more than that, it's about getting the best performing teams at your table. And I think the other piece that's critically important, and I've seen this change happen in various organizations, it is by every team member saying to their supervisor, saying to management, hey, it is important to us that we have a top performing team that reflects all diverse skill sets. And whether that's diversity of background, gender, race, or ethnicity, it's important. And if I'm good talent, and if you want me here at the table, then I need you to expand your view of how you view talent.
All right, I think we have time for one more question. This is actually someone from Sonic, or one of your Inspire employees, and she's asked, what is the #1 piece of advice you have for women in coming up in their careers?
Ooh, so many pieces of advice. The #1 thing I would tell you is give yourself grace. I think what we are constantly doing is judging ourselves so harshly. And women have the additional burden of not only are we oftentimes looking out for our careers and providing for our families, but we're also worrying about childcare, which shouldn't be our burden alone, but it is at times. And so I think the #1 advice I can give you is give yourself grace and seek other allies and women. I can't tell you what comfort it has been to find other women, because you will see that you are going through the same thing. And so to give yourself that grace, that opportunities will come to you, maybe not at the time period you want them to, and it may be overwhelming at times, but you can do it. And to find that literally find that crouching tiger within you.
Great. Thank you so much, Claudia, for taking time out of your day to join us here. It was great to have you with us, and thank you. I think I'm turning it over next to my colleague, Stacy, as we continue on with our program.
Thank you, Catherine.